Hi everyone, welcome to Storytime Sunday. My name is Tara Ross and I am the host of a history page on Facebook. If you love American history, come join me every morning at 7:30 Central and I will have a new history nugget to start your day. In the meantime, I hope you enjoyed tonight's story. Now last week, some of you may remember that I asked where people were coming from. Where are you listening? Where are you watching from? I got answers from as far away as Afghanistan, Argentina, Holland, Canada, Australia, the Philippines. I'm so happy that people across the globe are enjoying our history. Now I have to tell you, I've heard from every single state with 3 exceptions. So if you're from North Dakota, Wyoming, or Nebraska, let me know because we'd love to welcome you. Tonight's story is for all you animal lovers out there. Now you may know that many dogs and other animals serve with our military during times of war. I'm going to tell you a few of those stories tonight. Now, if I miss your favorite dog or animal, let me know in the comments and I will try to do something about it in a future broadcast or a future post. I always love ideas. Tonight, of course, I'm starting with Sergeant Stubby. Okay, so here is a picture of Sergeant Stubby. He served with the 102nd Infantry, 26th Yankee Division. And you may have seen a picture of him lately because, or I should say during World War I, you may have seen pictures of him lately because they made a movie about him. Now, Stubby's time in the Army began when he was found by a man named J. Robert Conroy just outside Yale University. Conroy was then beginning his basic training, and the two became attached to each other. And Stubby ended up at lots of the basic training. So here's another picture for you of Stubby. There's Stubby again. So he was at basic training, he was at drills, he was at bugle calls, he learned to salute. By the time it was all over, some people might have said Stubby got as much training as the soldiers, and he definitely worked his way into their hearts, and vice versa. So by the time Conroy got deployed to Europe, there was no way he was leaving Stubby behind. He smuggled Stubby on board a ship headed towards Europe. Now legend has it that the commanding officer of that ship found Stubby, and that Stubby won his heart by doing a smart salute. I don't know, but either way, everybody was happy that Stubby was in Europe. He was so helpful to his men. He was able to locate wounded men on the battlefield. He could bring medics to them. He could locate or identify gas attacks long before the humans around him could. On one occasion, he alerted them so early that he saved several lives. And perhaps his most memorable feat came when he helped to capture a German soldier. Now, legend has it that that capture earned him an actual promotion to sergeant in the Army. Now, so what I'll tell you is there's some things we do and don't know about that capture. We don't know how he captured the German exactly. Did he run the German towards the American lines? Did he bite the German and hold them down, waiting for the Americans to come find him? We're not quite sure, but we know he helped. And another thing that we do know, unfortunately, is that there does not appear to have been an actual promotion to sergeant, or at least there's no evidence of it. His biographer says he was promoted by the internet. It sounds so good, we want it to be true. Now I'll tell you what she says is most confused, or probably caused the confusion. I'm going to show you these pictures again. Okay, so there's Stubby, and here's Stubby again. You see the 3 chevrons there's a patch on his vest. Today, of course, that means sergeant, but back then it had something to do with overseas service. So that's probably where the confusion comes from. Either way, Stubby came home a hero. He was in parades. He was, actually, I have a picture of the parade. He was in parades. Do you see Stubby down here? There's Stubby. And he was given awards. Here's him getting a medal from General John Pershing. But mostly he lived out his life with Conroy. Now, Conroy's granddaughter said she would try to talk to her grandfather about the war, and he didn't really want to talk about it. All he ever would say was, "I was with Stubby." And she came to believe that Stubby saved her grandfather during the war. Now I'll show you one last picture of Stubby before I move on to my next animal. Here he is. There's Stubby again. You can find him at the National Museum of American History. He is actually there just like this. So this is Stubby who saved Conroy, but he's not the only dog who served. I wonder if you know about another dog who served in World War I named Rags. I have a picture of Rags, of course. Here's Rags. Okay, there's Rags. Rags served he was the mascot for the U.S. 1st Infantry during World War I. Now, this guy that's with him, his name was George Hickman, but the guy who's given credit for finding him and who was really his main person was Jimmy Donovan. Private Jimmy Donovan found him when he was in Paris for a Bastille Day parade in 1918. Now, once again, the story of how man and dog found each other has become a bit muddled, but we do know they found each other and became very attached. Now, Donovan, in fact, became so attached to Rags that he didn't really even want to take Rags to the battlefield. He thought it was too dangerous. So he tried to leave Rags in a safe location. Maybe you won't be surprised to hear that Rags would have none of that. So he found Donovan and basically showed up on his doorstep one day. So Donovan taught Rags how to do various things that would be helpful. I'll show you another picture while I'm telling you about this. He showed him how to do various things that would be helpful. He showed him how to run messages through gunfire or how to locate broken communication lines. Just as Stubby had done, Rags was able to alert soldiers when shells were incoming, and he led medics to wounded soldiers. But he's probably best known for his final mission. He delivered one last message, even as explosions were ripping things up around him. He had a gas mask ripped off, he had shrapnel wounds, he was wounded in one eye. Donovan also was wounded during this incident, and the two men were evacuated together. In fact, Rags was so loved by that point that an order was given that he was to be treated exactly like the soldier. So fortunately, Rags and Donovan, they were able to recuperate together on that side of the Atlantic. And they were always together. Now, trouble came when Donovan was sent back to America. When he got to the ship and was ready to board, the commanding officer didn't want a dog on his ship. He said no. And so, fortunately for everybody, there was another officer who saw what was going on. He couldn't overrule the commanding officer, but he did smuggle Rags aboard. Now, everything that happened on that ship may remain a mystery because we don't know exactly what happened, but it appears that that officer and several other infantry worked together to keep Rags' presence a secret for the entire trip across the Atlantic. And so, miraculously, Rags and Donovan both ended up together again in a hospital in Illinois. Now, Rags was really recovered by that time. Donovan had much more serious wounds. So Rags lived in a firehouse by night, and he went to go visit Donovan by day. Unfortunately, Donovan did not survive, and so which Rags immediately knew when he visited Donovan on that day, and he never went back to the hospital, and he didn't eat for a week. He was clearly quite sad. Fortunately, the story does not end there for Rags. Instead, another officer would eventually come and take Rags and adopt him, and he would get to live on a military base again with that other officer. So, and then again, the world started to find out about Rags. He was in parades. He had a book written about him. He was much loved. And I'm going to show you one last picture. So this is at Aspen Hill Memorial Park. Flags were left on his grave when he died, and he was very much loved. So there are other stories I could tell you right now. For instance, I could tell you the story about Smokey, who served in World War II. This is 4 pounds of bravery you're looking at. Or I could tell you about Staff Sergeant Reckless, the horse that served with the Marines in the Korean War. But as regular readers of my page won't be surprised to hear, I'm about to say, naturally, those are stories for another day. I've run out of time for now. So I hope you enjoyed my stories for today. I hope you'll tune in next time. If you want to be notified, look in the upper right-hand corner of your screen and look for a little carrot with a drop-down menu. There should be an option to set your notifications for Facebook Live. And I hope you'll join me. I also hope you'll join me on Facebook every morning at 7:30. As I mentioned, I'll post a history nugget to start your day. Tomorrow, as regular readers know, it is Medal of Honor Monday, and so I will feature a Medal of Honor recipient and to start off your week the right way. Thanks again for joining me tonight. I hope everyone enjoyed the story. See you next time.